Well, hello, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. I hope everybody's having a great day. Man, we had opportunities, man. We had opportunities. Unfortunately, we just couldn't follow through to it to get it done. Sadly, it was a good game. We were close. And this thing was about, the statistics-wise, was about as close as it could be. I think the Eagles had, the stat lines, yardage-wise, was about even. It was literally about even, and it was just that. The difference in this was Jalen Hurts. I hate to say it, Jalen Hurts was perfect. Jalen Hurts had more yards rushing than Saquon. And there's some good things for the Cowboys to take away from this one, so they shouldn't hold their heads down. And for us, the secondary played really outstanding. If you were to say going into this game that you were going to hold Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown to 24 yards, you wouldn't have believed it. And that you're going to hold Saquon to 60 yards. But, in the end, couple of mistakes, the turnovers are game changers. Penalties will kill you. So I hate to do it, of course, but I got to listen to the people on Get Up this morning. I'm curious to see what they have to say about Dak Prescott, because they've trashed him and said, he's not a top 15 quarterback and everything else, and that the Cowboys stink and stuff, and they got no chance in this game. So let's see what they have to say this morning.
Win an unbelievable opener after the game. CeeDee dejected.
Man, that's terrible. Honestly, I feel like, I can't point no fingers at nobody else. You know what I'm saying? And I take full accountability and everything else that come with it, because, as for me as a player, I pray for moments like that, you know what I'm saying, and the ball to come my way. And obviously for me to not come up with it, it stings a little bit.
Wasn't just those plays. There's throws out there that I want back, but it's game one, and he's a guy that makes those plays. He's going to make those plays. We're not going to get down on him. We're not going to lose confidence by any means.
Okay, put your feet up if you're watching at home. We got all morning long to dive into what was an endlessly interesting opener, and both quarterbacks were terrific. There's so much to say about this. If CeeDee Lamb holds on to some of those passes, the conversation we're having about Dak Prescott this morning would be deafening.
Yeah, but more importantly, Jalen Hurts was perfect.
Jalen was perfect.
Jalen had played a perfect game. But the Cowboys' perspective, I think the Cowboys beat themselves, and that's your takeaway. If you're them, you're so encouraged by so much. If you take away the fumble by Miles Sanders late in this third quarter, or if you catch one or two or three of those balls by Dak Prescott, it might be a different outcome. So
the star that wears it on his helmet, not only you're a star receiver, one of the best in the league. Okay, Micah's not there to make a play for you on the other side. You don't have a defense that, don't worry, defense got my back. You can't assume that now. So there's more pressure on the offense. Those plays have to be made. You have to score points. CeeDee didn't get it done last night.
I feel like all offseason we talked about their interior offensive line and how they were so young up front. I thought the Cowboys moved the Eagles defensive line with ease. Now I know that the best player on the Eagles defensive line spit on another man, didn't play a single snap. That said, you look at what Booker did, you look what those guys, Guyton, all them out there, they were moving that Eagles defensive line, which we heard all offseason was going to be this great advantage for Philadelphia.
I know what you want.
What?
See, these three acting like they ain't never been on Get Up after a Cowboys game. But I'm here for you, Greeny. That's why I wore my blue. If those balls are caught, we're talking about Dak Prescott playing as well as we've ever seen him play. We're talking about Dak Prescott playing on the tier with the Josh Allens, with the Lamar Jacksons, with the Joe Burrows, with the Patrick Mahomes. We're talking about CeeDee Lamb's drops. Let's not forget that Jake Ferguson drops a touchdown before Miles Sanders fumbles the football. There's an unnecessary roughness. Yes, Jalen Hurts was perfect, but so was Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott made plays with his legs, which we hadn't seen from him in years. He scrambled, moved to his left, big throws down the field. He made every play from an individual perspective that he needed to make.
Right.
None of this is on Dak Prescott.
There you go.
If other players step up and make plays offensively without Micah Parsons on defense, you're asking the Philadelphia Eagles offense to make a play late in that game because Dak Prescott, along with Jalen Hurts, was the best football player on the field.
Yeah,
Yep, that's true.
Of mobility and the play that RC's referencing when he had to escape a sack, move to his left.
Yeah.
I mean, you're thinking about those screws in the hamstrings, and you're thinking if he's all right, he looked good. He's going to have a great year.
So I agree with you. I thought Dak looked fantastic. I think the two things that come off of it are we can't talk about the Cowboys' offensive line and the interior of the offensive line and not have the conversation of Carter.
He's mentioned it.
He's a Defensive Player of the Year candidate,
Yeah.
so he's a game changer. They even said it. So while you
If he gets suspended for 4 games, he won't be.
That caveat of like, well, they didn't have the guy. And then also, is it as much of, man, you're so encouraged by the way Dak threw it, or you're a little bit, if you're the Eagles, going, we got a problem opposite Quinyon Mitchell. And that's not being in any disrespect to Dory Jackson.
That's very nicely put.
Yeah, so like that's so.
Well, it looks like Dory was benched.
They need to get in the transfer portal.
Yes,
That's what they need to do.
Eagles got some problems.
A little bit of your perspective going, you knew, we talked about it yesterday, you knew this was going to be the case. We were talking through every ball opposite Quinyon Mitchell. It certainly felt like the Cowboys did. And so while you love the way that Dak played, I think if you're the Eagles, you're walking away going, there's a move to be made or a problem to be solved because you're not winning the Super Bowl with that.
Well, the other part for the Eagles is this, right? There were so many questions about Brian Schottenheimer and how he would be in running his team. I felt like the Dallas Cowboys were prepared. I felt like they executed well. But not the same thing for the Eagles. I felt like the Eagles had players that played their positions individually well. But when Jaylen Carter, who is one of the best players in the entire NFL, shows that lack of respect for the game, shows that lack of ability to make good decisions early on in the game, that is such a selfish play. Not only is it freaking disgusting, right? Not only do you show what a low-level human you are in that moment, but you let the entire team down. Everything that the Philadelphia Eagles do up front centers around Jaylen Carter. When we're looking at the runs of Javonte Williams, when you see Miles Sanders go for 49, those are plays where you immediately think to yourself, where is Jaylen Carter? And you know where he was? He was at the casino down the street.
Oh, shit.
Because Big Dom had to walk him into the locker room. You cannot do that. And if you're Nick Sirianni, you have to make an example out of him. That's one of those times that you walk in the meeting and you put the film on, and you know how you do it. Bill Belichick would do this. He'd put the film on, then he'd cut it off, and he'd only show Jaylen Carter spitting on Dak Prescott, and you got to cuss him out. You got to tell him how big of a mistake this is. You got to tell him how he let the entire team down. And if you continue to do this, you'll never be the player you're supposed to be, and certainly not the man.
And also what that did for Dallas. I mean, I'm watching this game in terms of what's the mentality like of an entire team that they know the ownership and the upstairs got rid of their best player but probably less than a week ago. So how do they come out mentally?
Exactly a week ago.
Then the Eagles' best player on defense gets thrown out, and then all of a sudden it's like, we got a chance. We got this. They just gave them life.
Philly, yes, Jalen Carter. Philly had 9 penalties for 110 yards and looked very undisciplined at times. Stuff after the whistle, standing over player, stuff that you don't expect from a championship caliber team. Usually you expect that from the other young upstart. I think they have a lot of things they can tighten up. And if I'm a Cowboys fan, yes, Jalen Carter wasn't on the field. You got to feel pretty good about your offense right now. We can hang with anybody.
Yeah, I agree with that. If you're Philadelphia, one, your quarterback was perfect. Jalen Hurts played as good as you can at the
quit swinging from his nuts.
To the decision making, I literally think he played perfect. He took 1 2nd and 10 sack. Other than that, he had 3 throwaways and a drop. He went 19 of 19 when it comes to throwing the football, where and when. And then I'm not even talking about the decision making with the legs.
You're saying he played perfect. How many yards did he throw for? 130. And that's a game. That's a game. That's the dub.
But the ball went to the right place at the right time consistently.
That's exactly what happened before the first offense.
Okay. Praising the hell out of Jalen Hurts, and I'm not going to say that Jalen Hurts didn't play a great game. He did. And I'm going to say that the arrogance that I have been getting from Eagle fans was kind of the arrogance that you got from the Eagles themselves, where the whole bravado, standing over players, the Jaylen Carters, literally spitting on Dak Prescott. That this is basically how the fans have been. No respect whatsoever to the Cowboys, and the Cowboys came close. came really close. A couple of mistakes is all the difference of that game. Cowboys had 188 yards passing to 144 for the Eagles running the football. We didn't do bad. We had 119 yards rushing to 158 to the Eagles. So yardage-wise, we were both low 300s. It was not, a crazy game. The difference was that fumble, the incompletion in the end zone from Jake Ferguson, and the 3 drops from CeeDee Lamb. And sadly, Jalen Hurts gets praised and all that, and Dak, it's a good, he played okay. But the reality is the difference of Dak saying he had an incredible game versus it, being, consolation prize is what others ended up not doing. And that is what it is. Alrighty, good people. As always, I appreciate you all, and we'll be live streaming the game tonight, and we'll be, of course, talking about the Cowboys versus Eagles. It's going to be a busy weekend because we'll be live streaming the games this weekend. And don't forget to check out Sleeper. The link is in the description. Peace out.